Alrighty, welcome to the Jets media availability for Monday, January 4th. We'll begin with Jets captain Blake Wheeler. Anyone with questions for Blake, please use the raise hand function now and I'll create a queue for questions. Reminder, one question and one follow-up if you need it. I'll introduce each of you and you'll be prompted to unmute your microphone and ask your question. We'll begin with Ken Wiebe from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Ken.
Thanks, Rigger. Thanks, Blake, for taking the time. What's it like to be in your 10th training camp with the Jets, and what do you like most about your team right now?
Yeah, it feels good to be back. A lot of unknowns coming into this, and you don't really know if and when this was going to take place. But it's nice to get back to the day job for sure. I thought for day one, it's kind of been tough for some guys. Having to go right from quarantine into day one of training camp's not ideal, and guys gutted it out, and there was a lot of intensity and hard work. I think it was a pretty business-like focused day one. I thought all the guys coming back from teams, prior our teams in the past looked really good. You could tell there was a lot of hard work done from the last time we saw everyone, and really liked our new guys as well. So overall, it was a really good first day.
Yeah, what do you think will be the strengths of this group as you move along?
Good goaltending, good defensemen, and good forwards.
Thanks.
All righty, we'll go next to Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Blake. Happy New Year and happy new hockey season. Just your thoughts on an all-Canadian division, 56 games. You're going to see the same 6 opponents 9 or 10 times. Does that have you excited to get such a heavy dose of the same opponents this season?
I think for the players, I think we're all just fortunate to be in this position to have a season. Certainly with the nature of the world, there were going to be limitations on what we could and couldn't do. So I think the league's making the best of a bad situation, and as from there we just play who we're told to play. Every time we have a Canadian team in our building, I know our fan base is all really excited. It seems like there's a lot of people from Winnipeg here, but there's also a lot of people that have moved here from other towns, and Winnipeggers that have moved elsewhere in Canada. And so it always seems to be a good atmosphere everywhere we play in Canada and whenever there's a Canadian team in our building. So there should be a lot of exciting matchups, and it just should make for a good division.
And then just one more from me, Blake, on having old friend Paul Stastny back in the fold and back on the ice with you today. What does he bring to the room, to the ice, and to have him now for a full season like you're going to?
Yeah, Stas is, he's cut from a different cloth, more of an old school mold. The way he plays the game is mentally he's a step ahead of everyone else out there. He's incredibly reliable on face-offs. He's the type of center that makes the people around him better. So I think it's a great compliment to Scheif. And I think it's such a steady presence to have to be able to deploy, a center like Stas. You can really put any players on a line with them and they're going to flourish. And, just a steady presence in your lineup, both, obviously in the locker room, we know what type of person he is. Everyone loves Stas in the room, and, what he brings to us on the ice is, pretty great fit for our team.
Thanks, Blake.
We'll go next with Ted Wyman from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Hi, Blake. Thanks for doing this. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what the off-season was like for you since September, the opportunity to be at home more than you normally would as a hockey player, and even around the Christmas season with your young family.
Yeah, it's definitely given me something to look forward to when this is all done with, when I'm not a hockey player anymore, being able to have some sort of a normal holiday season. It was the first, first Thanksgiving I've spent with my family, since I've started playing. But since we've had kids, it was the first time I've been able to be home throughout Thanksgiving, and same with Christmas. I mean, we get Christmas off every year, but typically we're playing on the 23rd, and then, by the time you've caught your breath, it's time to get back to work. So, definitely really enjoyed the quality time, with Sam and the kids, and being able to do it in ways that we haven't in the past. I think we've all really embraced it, and gonna miss it, going forward. But I think everyone's excited to get Dad back to work.
Thanks. And just in terms of this quick training camp, do you rely on some of the experience you got from doing that already in the summer? Is it almost sort of like rebooting that?
I mean, I think most guys are coming into training camp now. Not quite in game shape, but as close to game shape as you're going to get. Those reps in training camp obviously help get you to game shape, but most players would argue that camps are a little bit long anyway. So it'll be nice to get right to it. Get up to game speed as fast as we can, and then hit the ice for games that matter.
Thank you.
And we'll go next with Kelly Moore from CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks very much, Gregor. Blake, you did have one dress rehearsal back in the summer for the bubble in Edmonton. This time, there's nothing at all. What are your thoughts on preseason games? Are they a necessary evil, or are you happy that you can go straight into the war from this camp?
Sometimes it's nice to have one or two of them, but the teams we're playing don't have them either. So there's no real room to think about what might or what could be more beneficial for us. Everyone's in the same boat, so we're just going to have to deal with it and get right to it.
Yeah, and in terms of what Ted just touched on a little bit, does it seem normal now coming into this kind of environment, whether there are the safety protocols and the differences maybe from the summer compared to now? You guys are a little more used to it. Would that be safe to say?
It's just, it's not something you think about. Just part of the job, and we're fortunate to be able to play a game right now with everything going on in the world. So if you got to take a 2-second test in your nose to accomplish that, I think we'd all be okay doing that for as long as we need to. So these are just, little monotonous details that are part of the world we live in right now, and something that, we're dealing with and doing the best we can.
All right, we'll go next to Sarah Orlesky from TSN. Go ahead, Sarah.
But just wondering if, because there's no exhibition games, if you choose to approach this training camp different than maybe you would in the past, and what you're trying to get out of it.
No, I think for the most part, every time I step out there, I'm same frame of mind, same mindset. Especially this time of year, when you're coming up into a new season, everything's, with the thought of getting up to game speed and playing, an NHL regular season pace. So whether it's day one in a typical October or September training camp, or, in sort of a different year, same approach, same mindset, just full speed ahead, trying to get ready for night one.
Given the off-season rumors that surrounded Patrick Laine, there's going to be a lot of attention paid to that situation going forward. Is that something, as a captain and just as a teammate, that you try to ensure doesn't become a distraction in the room, or is there any concern that it could be?
I think what gets talked about in the media and what gets talked about in our dressing room are definitely two different things. Patty makes us a better hockey team since Patty's been here. We've become a contending hockey team every year. So I think from a teammate standpoint, I want what's best for Patty since the day he's gotten here. I want Patty to lead the league in goals. I want, all the things that, are within his capabilities that's what I want for him. But first and foremost, I think we want all those things in conjunction with our team having success. So sometimes when there's rumors, when there's things talked about individual players, that gets lost, that the team gets put first in front of all those things. And I think we're all in the same boat here, that we're trying to win hockey games, and Patty's a big part of that. And, we're obviously lucky to have him here.
Thank you.
Go next to Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, Blake, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Sean. How are you?
I'm good. To continue with that theme, Patrick had, or his agents had said that he'd like a trade in the off season. It's not the first time this has happened here in Winnipeg, and you've been here from the very beginning to see it, going back to the days of players like Evander Kane. I'm wondering what you feel that, potentially you in your time as a captain, or maybe more so the team, has done really well in the past of handling those situations and not allowing them to become an issue that's affected the team.
I think what you just said is really important, and in dealing with all of this, is that it's about a team. You know what I mean? I think we need to operate and think about everything that we do is in the best interest of us as a team. Does losing Patrick Laine make us a better team? Probably not. So it's unfortunate that things happen, and maybe sometimes you're in a small Canadian market, and there's nothing else really to talk about other than things of this nature. But like I said, Patty makes us a better team. I think that the position that we're in is one that we can have a really special year, and that's where our focus is. On the amount of talent that we have on our team. How do we deploy that in the best way to get the most out of everyone, so that we can be effective every game. Not too long ago, this team was knocking on the door, for a Stanley Cup. So this is the nature of big business in NHL and pro sports. We're not alone in this, and trade rumors and high profile players, and with a flat salary cap, I think these things are just going to continue to happen. But I think we're in a better position today with Patrick Laine on our hockey team, and I think we'll just leave it at that.
So clearly this year is going to be a year unlike any other year. What are some of the challenges that you guys know about or see in the room that you don't think maybe fans or media on the outside are going to see heading into this season?
I think we need to, there's a lot of things going on in the world that are very serious and more require more attention than some of the inconveniences that we're going to have, in this NHL season. We're not going to be able to go out to restaurants as teammates and, do things like that. These are minor inconveniences. Like I said, we're playing a game. I think we're in a great position to give some people a distraction from what's going on in the world right now. I know for us, for me, watching NFL games and having things like that to look forward to sometimes takes you out of the reality of the world we're living in. So that's our job now, is to provide a distraction and work our asses off every night for the people that are cheering for us. And ultimately you learn pretty quick that this ship doesn't leave the dock if we don't have fans in the building. So we miss the fans in the stands too, and just looking forward to hopefully getting people back in the building as soon as possible.
Ready to wind off with Josh Clipperton from the Canadian Press. Go ahead.
Hey Blake, thanks for doing this. Just one for you. Bubbles are obviously different than what you guys are doing. There was no positive test in the bubble. What can your team in the NHL learn from football, basketball, baseball to a lesser extent when it comes to mitigating risk, knowing that even with all the precautions, sometimes it's just a game of chance, and with the numbers the way they are in both countries, that positive tests are probably given at some point on one or more teams?
Well, I mean, we're not scientists, and we don't. I mean, that's not what we're paid to do. So I think we have people who know a lot more about this than we do. They've, put forth guidelines and precautions, and some some ways that we can conduct our business to help mitigate the risks of getting sick. And with all that being said, it's still out there, and there's no 100% foolproof way. So we're just going to follow the guidelines and try to have respect for them, the people in our room, the guys that we're in contact with every single day. Try to protect each other and do the best we can to follow those rules as closely as we can. And then from there, you know, at the end of the day, we are still getting on airplanes. We are still, going to have exposure, and it's just doing the best you can to mitigate that risk, I guess, going forward.
All right, thanks very much, Blake. Paul Stastny will be up right away, everybody. Thank you. All right, everybody. We have Jets forward Paul Stastny here. Anyone with any questions, please use the raise hand function now. We'll get started with Ted Wyman from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Hi, Paul. I guess officially welcome back to Winnipeg. Just your first thoughts on being back here and skating with the Jets again.
Yeah, thanks. Excited. Feel comfortable here. Feel good here. Everyone's kind of accepted me with open arms, but it's like almost felt like my wife and I and kids really never left. But now we get to settle in a little more, get here a little early, do Christmas here, and quarantine the family. But it's good to be back out here and kind of get life going again with us during training camp and the kids being in school today. So today felt like kind of the first day after a holiday break. So we're excited.
You mentioned the wife and kids and spending time with them at Christmas. As an older player, was that a bit of a silver lining of all this, that you actually got to spend a little bit more time with them than you normally would?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved Halloween. It was kind of limited what you could do, but we had fun there. And then Thanksgiving was great, and then Christmas was even better. We always try to do different things. We try to plan kind of December around. I mean, anyone who has kids knows. When they're at a young age, Christmas time, it's just feels like you're just planning so much stuff to make it as enjoyable as you can for them. But this time we got to enjoy it with them, and some things we couldn't do, some things we could do. But yeah, it was nice. Like Wheels was saying, it was nice that you could just enjoy it and not have to. I don't want to say like have stress, but not have like the thought of like, all right, tonight I can enjoy it, but as you're eating a meal or as you're having some wine, you're like, all right, I gotta get ready for bed because tomorrow we're traveling in the morning and we got a game. So you didn't have that going on because the last couple of years we've always had, we played the day before our break and we played the day after our break. So this time it was nice to see, what the future might hold down the road.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go next to Paul Friesen from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi, Paul. A couple of months ago, Patrick Laine's agent said that Patrick and all sides would be better served maybe with the change of scenery. What is your experience with that kind of thing from a player, and how does it typically affect a team?
Yeah, I don't think it affects the team. I think, there's always noise around teams, around certain players, especially in the off season. You see stuff like that. I think, those are things that are out of control. So as players, I think we just got to go out there and do what we can. And I think when you get, being around the NHL for a while, having my dad been in it, I think when you try to focus on other things and try to control things out of your hands, I think you lose focus on what you got to do. And, everything happens for a reason. And, if something's meant to be, it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, then, it's, that's the way it is. And I think, situation like that, I don't know. I haven't been around it as, specifically speaking about him. I've been around it as much, but I've been around guys that had that outside noise like that. But I think once you get back on the ice, especially for guys, hockey players like myself, like once we're here, everyone's comfortable. Once you're on the ice, you forget about it. You're just enjoying yourself and you're having fun. And once the season gets going, I think you just go out there, you enjoy yourselves. And, if the team's doing well, then you're doing well as an individual, then everyone kind of forgets about it. So, our biggest focus is to get back on the ice and put a winning team forward.
There's a sense that the acquisition of you is maybe an attempt to give him a quality center to play with. Can you make Patrick Laine happy here in Winnipeg?
I don't know. That's like I said, my job is kind of whoever I play with. I've never asked to play with anybody in my career, and I kind of just whatever the coaches think they're comfortable, slide me with certain guys. But here there's the top 9 is pretty legit, and there's a lot of different combinations you can work with and different things. So I think the biggest thing is, whoever you have chemistry with, you just go out there and you work for each other. And for me, it's trying to find my wingers. You play with a lot of shooters on this team, and that's really nice to have. So for me, as a someone who likes to distribute the puck, find the open guy, it's really easy for me to play, and I enjoy it. And the little time I was here before playing with him, I thought we had good success. And now it's a couple years later, and then you see guys like him and Casey and Fly. Just the more experience they get, the better they are, and it's really fun to see some of these guys grow, kind of just right under your eyes a little bit. Where I just talked to Patty today and realized he was 22, and kind of jaw dropped because I don't know, I'm getting old, but I thought he'd been like 24, 25 because I feel like he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years. Just when you come at 18 years old, you're so young and so. Probably immature in a sense, and physically you're gonna develop a little bit. Some guys are early bloomers, but I think more mentally, more between the years, I think that's where your game really grows. And every year you play, I think you get wiser and you get better in that sense.
Alrighty, we'll go next to Kelly Moore from CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
You just mentioned, you've had a lot of interesting guys to play with over the years, Paul. From what you remember of Patrick and maybe what you're anticipating this year if you do play with him, anybody that has been a natural goal scorer of that caliber who you have played with in your years in the league?
No, everyone's different. I think like in my early years in Colorado, I played with some good scorers, but Hey Duke might have had the best hands and just had that very soft hands and the deceptive shot where you stick handle shot all in one motion. I played with McKinnon, but he's a whole different kind of player. He's very skilled, but he's also very powerful, does everything very quick. I think, you play with Patch in Vegas, who just has, powerful, works hard, but his shot is, he's, you'd ask him, I don't think he's a pure goal scorer. I think he's got a great work ethic. He's got high skill. He puts them together, and he's just very powerful and strong. So I think, he works on that game, works on it so much. And if you ask him, I think it's something that makes him special. But I think playing with Patty, it's just smooth. Like for how big he is, how effortless he makes it look, how smooth it is. It's just, there's very few guys in the league that are like him. It's just, he makes it look easy, and people don't realize that, the way you can handle a pass, whether it's a hard pass or a soft pass, kind of cradle and shoot it all in one motion. It's just, it's easy in the summertime when there's no one out there and there's no pressure. But, when you're playing the game and the ice is kind of choppy a little bit and there's sticks on you and you have that split second and, he does it all without tensing up. I think that's what makes it so special. And for me to play with them, or for me in practice with them. It's always fun watching them. To me, it's always fun watching these special players, and every guy kind of has something different about them, and you try to learn about it. But at the same time, like some of those guys, they've obviously worked on it, but part of it's also God-given talent, and you like to you love watching those guys play just because they're very few and far in between.
And how much are you personally looking forward to this all Canadian division?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think all divisions are good, and to me it doesn't matter. It's kind of nice traveling. I think it's you don't have to leave the country, so you don't have to go through customs all the time. In that sense, I think that's about that's always like the hardest part when you're an American team going to Canada or a Canadian team going across the border, is dealing with stuff like that. So I think traveling with it'll be fun. And I haven't even looked at the schedule, just because I don't want to get too look too far ahead, just because I know it's going to be busy. But when you play some of these teams 2 times in a row or 3 times, or you're in the city for a couple, like that makes it kind of fun. Really, you're stuck in the hotel just because of the situation that's going on, but you're just around the guys all the time, and it's a good bonding experience. And the teams that are close off the ice tend to show a lot of chemistry and closeness on the ice, so I think that's an important factor.
Alrighty, so just one question apiece from here on out. We'll go next to Josh Clipperton from the Canadian Press. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, Paul, thanks for doing this. I'm just wondering, with how much you guys are going to be playing the same teams, how much is unpredictability going to be important? Like, whether it's power play, penalty kill, zone entry, is just like being unpredictable for the opponent. Is that something that you think is going to be important, this season?
Yeah, but I mean, everyone's predictable in this league. I think it's a cookie cutter league, but because the game happens so fast, a lot of it is reactionary. So if you look at so many goals in this game, none of it happens just from the way you drew up a play. A lot of it is just one guy kind of making a play happen, and all of a sudden a second guy, a third guy kind of follows in line. Unpredictability, I mean, to me, like, you use that word, it's more like adjustments, right? Like when you're playing different teams and you're playing 2 days in a row, you want to have adjustments. You want to work on power play where you have more than one option or 2 or 3 options. You have more than one breakout or 2 or 3 breakouts. The more you can practice on that, the more you can surprise teams, the more teams are going to be on their heels. And when you play the same team all the time, it always comes down, it's like playoffs. I feel like all these teams are so well balanced that it always comes down to special teams. You're going to see a lot of 1-goal games, like you always do. I think it's the NHL now, but it just shows how important special teams is, and not just power play, but penalty kill as well. It's going to be little things like that is going to be really important from the get-go all the way to the end.
And we'll end off with Carter Brooks from Game On. Go ahead, Carter.
Hi, Paul. Just a very quick question here. Earlier, maybe moments ago, Blake Wheeler said that you're cut from a different cloth. You're an older mold. Is that true? Do you agree with that? And what do you have to say about Blake as a player and a former teammate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just more old school, but I think that's just I grew up around the game. I think I learned a lot from my dad, from my brother, who's a couple years older than me. So very fortunate, I think very fortunate to learn a lot of things at a young age. I didn't realize I was learning it maybe until now, and then I appreciate it more now. But at the same time, it's kind of fun though, because now the way I learned growing up, I'm still learning now, where I also try to hang out with these new school guys or these young guys and see what they're doing and try to implement that, whether it's your diet or training or working out around the ice, and then you're constantly trying to, like sharpen your tools a little bit and get a little better and learn from everybody. So, I mean, obviously I credit that to having my dad and my brother kind of help me out my whole career. And then Wheels is similar too. And I don't know, I think it's just the product of the way you're raised. I don't think it's when you came in the league, because I know guys, I played with a lot of guys that came at the same time, where one's old school and one's new school. And then I just meet kind of the way they were raised and the way they grew up. And I think it's just a product of that. And I think Wheels the same way, where plays a simple game. I think a very effective player. The way he carries himself, it's just kind of no nonsense kind of thing, but enjoys it too. Wants everyone to, his whole kind of the way he plays is kind of makes everyone around him better. And he's the definition of a, highly skilled player, with one of the higher work ethics in the league. And I think the players I respect the most are always the players that are, you know, really skilled, but also work really hard and constantly work on getting better. And, you know, a perfect example for that is, you know, you look at a guy like Crosby, you know, and some people, you know, I don't know, he's obviously going to go down as obviously one of the best players, you know, in the world and probably in our generation. But, you know, I look at him and I just think the hardest thing about him is just how hard he competes, how hard he works. And, you know, where he gets his goals, where he gets his, you know, assists, it's always around the net. He plays a dirty game in a sense, you know, and, you know, he doesn't play on the outside. And to me, that's the way I was raised. Just always go to the net, you know, less is more kind of thinking. And, it's fun watching those guys, and maybe because I try to play like that, that's why I respect players like that more. But it's also, like I said, it's also just how I was raised, and just the kind of mentality I've always had about, you know, nothing's given to you. You always gotta work hard out there, and, you know, nothing always goes your way, or nothing goes the way it's supposed to be planned. But, you know, you don't want to pout about it. You just want to keep kind of working at it, whether it's hockey or in life, and just keep moving forward, and you know, do everything to the best of your abilities.
Thanks very much, Paulie.
All right, thanks, guys.
Patrick Laine will be up shortly. Thank you.